This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Hey there, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dave from Chase to Summit, and today we've got something a little bit different. I guess you could call it a tutorial, but it's also something I just learned about, so I'm not gonna act like I knew about this for a while. So I was just scrolling around on Garmin Connect's website, looking at all my metrics and stuff, and I noticed something a little bit different on the full desktop version of this website, and it's that the course creation tool built into Garmin Connect is a little bit different than it used to be. I've used this tool a lot in the past. In fact, I've actually got a video from a couple of years ago where I do a similar thing. I'm sitting at a computer and I'm trying to show you how to use this tool, but it's changed. So I thought I would make an updated version of my original video, if that makes sense. So today I'm gonna guide you through on how I personally set up a course on Garmin Connect, and then how I will sync that course over to my Garmin watch in order to follow it when I'm out in the field. Before we dive all the way in though, I do want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's Squarespace. If you're unaware of what Squarespace is, it's pretty appropriate for this video. They make websites, and not only do they make websites, they make making your own website incredibly easy. Squarespace has a huge library of pre-designed templates for just about any application, from being a yoga studio or a restaurant or even some guy on YouTube like me. And these templates are easy to customize and make your own by simply clicking and dragging with no coding or website knowledge required. I've been a huge fan of Squarespace for several years on my website over at chasetosummit.com, and that's where I post my blog and my podcast and even sell my own merch using the Squarespace commerce platform. So if you're interested in getting your own website, because everyone needs a website these days, head over to squarespace.com/chasetosummit or check out the link in the description down below, and that will give you 10% off your entire order. With that out of the way, let's dive all the way in and check on Garmin Connect. As you can see here, I've got Garmin Connect up on my screen, and we're looking at the dashboard of my Garmin Connect, and this is where you see things like my previous night's sleep, my steps for the week, and things like that. Now, if I go over in the sidebar here and scroll down to training and planning, this is where you want to be. We scroll down to courses and click on that. And as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of pre-designed courses that I've had in here for a variety of applications, but what we're gonna do is make our own course, and that's where you click on this Create New button up here. Before we do that though, to the left of that Create New button, there's an Import button. Now this button is useful if you've got a GPX file, a TCX file, a fit file, anything like that that you may have gotten from Strava or even a race organization for an upcoming race you're doing. You can take that pre-made GPX file that someone has already generated and import it into Garmin Connect, which is really useful, and I've done that in the past. For the purpose of this video though, we're gonna create a new course from scratch. So I'm gonna go ahead and click Create New, and now you can see there's sort of a disclosure agreement for using OpenStreetMap, which is the form of maps that Garmin Connect uses. I'm gonna go ahead and click Use OpenStreetMap. And then on the left here, it asks you what kind of activity you're doing. And this is somewhat important because Garmin Connect has some intelligence on how we'll actually create a course. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on trail running. So as you can see here, we're at the map view in the course builder tool on Garmin Connect. And as you can see, it's located me in Olathe, I think that's how you pronounce it, Olathe, Kansas, which is where Garmin's headquarters is. Now I'm located in Massachusetts, I don't wanna run in Kansas, so I'm gonna go ahead and type in a destination. I think I'd like to go for a run in the White Mountains of New Hampshire, and that's in Lincoln, New Hampshire. So I'm gonna type in Lincoln, New Hampshire. Now I've zoomed in on an area of the map in New Hampshire that I'd love to go trail running in. This is Franconia State Park, if you're interested. And this is the home of Mount Lafayette, which is just a beautiful trail run and hike if you're in the area, but that's besides the point. So now I can do a few things. I can go over to the map settings here on the right. I've got Google Maps as an option, which does show the trails, but mainly only the popular trails. There's also Here Maps, which is another form of hybrid mapping that doesn't actually show any of the trails, unfortunately. And then there's OpenStreetMaps, and I like these the best because they seem to show the best level of detail. Another thing we can do in the map settings here is turn on popularity heat map, and this is where selecting the appropriate activity for what you want to do is important. So here you can see I've got trail running selected, and if I click on this little check mark here, it'll highlight the trails dark purple where it's really popular. If I zoom out a little bit, you'll be able to see all of the trails in the area, and the darker colored ones are the more popular ones. And if I zoom in, you'll see lighter colored trails. Like here, there's some lighter colored sections, where over here, this is like a high traffic, really popular area. This is super cool. So if you're unfamiliar with an area that you're traveling to, for example, if you're on vacation or you're on a work trip or something like that, you can hop on Garmin Connect, turn on popularity heat map, and see exactly where most of the locals and people are running. With the popularity heat map enabled, I can now decide where I want to start my course. So I think I'm going to start my course at the northern side of this trail. So I'm going to zoom in up here. And right at the beginning here, you can see that over my mouse, there's a little dialog box that says click anywhere on the map to start drawing a new course. I'm gonna click here, and you can see it dropped a green icon, a little play button dropped there. Now I can go ahead and continue along my course, and I don't need to click a million times to generate a course. I can just kind of broadly click my start point, and now there's a junction here, so I'll click here, and it'll route me along that course. So as you can see, that blue line is my course, and those markers are the mile markers along the course. I'm gonna go ahead and head up to Mount Lafayette, to Little Haystack Mountain, and then we're gonna go down back to the trailhead here, back up the mountain again, and then we'll come back down to get back to the car here. So there we go. We've got a full course designed. And the cool thing about this is you got some more information about the course you're generating over on the left side of the screen. So all of your map settings and stuff are on the right side of the screen. And then a bunch of information is on the left. I can name my course whatever I want. I'll call this Test Course 1, Fun. And then below that, it has a couple of drawing method options. So you can do a custom drawing method, which is what I'm doing, or you can do automatic, where it'll actually generate a course for you, which I'm not going to do today. And then below that, we do have what course type you're doing. So of course, we're doing trail running. Below that, we have follow popularity routes, and that is enabled. And this allows you to decide if you want to follow roads or if you want to follow the trails as well. Or you can just skip this altogether and do it freehand, which is kind of nice. And then below that is an interesting feature that wasn't present on the older version of Garmin Connect's Course Builder, and that's the notification option. So this little toggle here will allow the course that you're generating to generate alerts on your watch while you're out in the field. So for example, as I'm running down the trail, my watch will buzz to let me know I need to take a turn. And then down at the bottom here, you've got a couple of options. You've got course details. So this shows you your distance along with your total ascent, total descent, and you can actually expand this to see even more detail about the elevation profile of your course. I also quickly want to go over a couple of other map tools that are available here. So all the way at the top of the map, you'll see a few other options. First up is loop back to start. This is a really handy feature. So I could use this, for example, if I started this course, I got halfway around, and I didn't know the best way to get back to the beginning of the activity, I could click loop back to start, and Garmin Connect would actually use the trendline heat map to guide myself, but build a course all the way back to the beginning of the activity. Next up at the top of the screen here, we have out and back, and that's pretty self-explanatory. So what this will do is if you build a course in one direction, you're doing a point-to-point course, but then you want to double back and do that course all the way back to the beginning of your activity, it'll actually just generate the same course on top of itself to get back to the beginning by like sort of mirroring that activity. The next tool at the top of the screen is reverse direction. That's pretty self-explanatory as well. And what this does is if you build a looped course, you can click reverse direction and it will reverse that loop so you can get the same directions just in the opposite direction. And finally, and probably one of the most useful things you can do here is add course point. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that now. So if I click on that, it gives me this little box on the left here. And what this is a way to add course points or waypoints to your map. These can be super useful for things like aid stations in a race, water sources along a course, or even a campsite. And if I click on the type here, there's a whole bunch of different options that you can put into here, and they keep adding to this. I feel like every time I look at this, there's even more options. For the purpose of this video, we're gonna go ahead and drop a water course point for this activity because this is sort of a backcountry hike, trail run kind of thing. And the water along this course is actually located right near Eagle Lake here. So I'm gonna zoom in and I'm gonna go right on my course and just click. And you can see there's a little water icon right on my course. So here I can actually change the name as well. I can say, this is the Green Leaf Hut water source. All it says here is green leaf water. And what's great about this is if you have one of the newer watches like the Garmin Epix PRO or Fenix 7 Pro, this icon will actually appear on your map when you're in the map view on your watch. With my course point all set up, there is one more thing I can do in my course builder here, is if I scroll down on the left pane, I can actually put in a virtual partner setting. So if I have a goal time, for example, if I'm going for my personal best on this loop, I could say I want to run a 14-minute per mile pace, which is a little ambitious for this course because it's super rugged and there's a lot of elevation gain, but hey, maybe I could do it if I try it real hard. And that'll generate a goal time of 2 hours and 44 minutes for the whole activity. And again, this information will transfer over to my watch. Now that I've created my course, it shows up in my course library on the left side of the screen here, and I can scroll down and see all my other courses, but the one we're interested in is test course fun here. And I can do a few things now. I can star it if I want to keep it as a favorite, and then it'll be, captured in my favorites library here. I can share it by clicking the share icon. That'll generate a URL that I could send to friends and family if they want to know what I'm doing on a given day. And finally, I can send to device, which is the one I want to do now. So I'm going to click on send to device, and now a dialog box pops up and asks me what device do I want to send it to. So I want to send it to my Garmin Epix Pro 51mm. That's the one I'm wearing now and the one I intend to use for this activity. So I'm going to put a check mark next to that. And down at the bottom here, it asks if you want to launch Garmin Express. That's a utility, that's a desktop application where you can plug your watch into the computer and it will transfer this file over USB. I don't want to do that because I don't want to mess with cables. So I'm just going to leave that unchecked and click send to device. Now that we've completed all of those steps on the computer, all you've got to do now is sync your watch with Garmin Connect. And you can do that right on the watch by choosing sync in the menu options. And that will pull that activity out of the cloud and download it to the internal storage of the watch so you can use it when you're out on the field and you don't need an internet connection in any way, no cellular, no Wi-Fi, nothing like that, to do your activity, which is super cool. In order to access this route when I'm out in the field, all I've got to do is start an activity. In this case, it would be my trail running activity. Then go ahead and dive into the navigation settings. And if I click on the course, that will load the course. At this point, I can either do the course, I can add a Pace Pro strategy, I can view a map of the course, I can do the course in reverse, I can see an elevation plot of the course, I can change the name of it, I can edit it, view all the climbs, delete it, etc. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click do course. And now when I actually start the activity, the course will be there and ready to use. This will be all of my navigation data pages with estimated time remaining, how far it is to my next, waypoint or course point, and of course, a map view of the course so I can see it in real time and know which way to turn when I hit a junction, which is super cool. So that's the process you use on a computer when you're creating a course in Garmin Connect. This is on a desktop browser on a full-blown computer, not on a phone. However, there is a similar process that you can do on a phone, and they've actually improved that as well. But I'm not going to cover that in this video. We'll save that for a different video. And now I want to hear from you. Do you use the course builder in Garmin Connect? Did you notice that they changed it around a little bit and made it look a little bit different? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd also like to know how often you use the course builder, if you use it at all. If you didn't even know it existed, let me know about that too. And with that, that is the end of this short but sweet video. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye.